Expression 6 times the 5th root of 3 to the 5th times x to the 45th times the 8th root of 2 to the 8th times x is equivalent to ax to the b, where a and b are positive constants and x is greater than 1. What is the value of a plus b? Okay. So we know that if I have x squared and I'm taking the square root of it, that those would cancel and I'd just be left with x. So as I look at this first one, I have my 6, that's not really going anywhere. But I have the 5th root of 3 to the 5th. The 5th root of 3 to the 5th, those 5's cancel, it just becomes a 3. Times x, 45 and 5. Our exponent rules tells us that we can divide those, 45 divided by 5, and I get x to the 9th. Times the 8th root of 2 to the 8th, those 8's cancel, and it's just a 2. But unfortunately, I can't cancel it, can't do much here. So I have x, and the exponent on that x, we've got exponent over index, x to the 1/8. Multiplying our bases, we're not adding or subtracting anything, there's only multiplicative operators there. Then the rule tells us we can add our exponents. This is an exponent on our x's. So I'm going to add 9 plus 1/8 because my exponents, we only care about what's attached to the x. It's 9.125. That's the value of b. That's the exponent on my b, on my x. I got a little carried away here. I got too excited. I do need to combine all of those coefficients. 6 times 3 is 18. 18 times 2 is 36. So my problem becomes 36 x to the exponent of 9.125. This is a in my problem, and this is b. They asked me to add those. So I'm running out of room here. 36 plus 9.125. $5.13. Maybe 5.1. Student produced response question. Just do the whole decimal. That's why I rounded it. Triangle has sides of 2 radical 2, 6 radical 2, and radical 80 units. What is the area of the triangle in square units? So area of a triangle is 1/2 AB, or 1/2 base times height, however you want to look at it. I'm just peeking to see that is one of our formulas here, 1/2 base times height. That's not something we have to memorize. In a right triangle, the longest side is the hypotenuse. So I'm just gonna, I think I know that radical 80 is the longest at about 8.9. Let me just double check. 6 radical 2, 8.4. So it was close. This has to be the radical 80. It doesn't matter where the other two go, really. So I'll say 6 radical 2, 2 radical 2. So our equation, area equals 1/2, and I'll change this for you, base times height. Base times height are the sides attached to the right angle. We do not want the hypotenuse because that's a slant. We don't want the slant height. So I have 1/2. It doesn't matter base times height because we're multiplying. I can plug that into my calculator right now. 0.52 radical 2, 6 radical 2. The expression 4x squared plus bx minus 45, where b is a constant, can be written as hx plus k times x plus j. where h, k, and j are integer constants. Which of the following must be an integer? Okay. So they like to ask about these, and really they just want us to be a little bit creative. I have that. Two sets of parentheses. Almost always, we should try to distribute those parentheses. So I'm going to do hx times x. That's hx squared plus hjx plus kx plus, almost out of room here, kj. And they really want us to think, well, what's it mean for two things to be equal? It means there's the same values on both sides. So the only thing on the left that has an x squared is 4x squared. The only thing on the right that has an x squared is hx squared. So they're really telling us that 4 and h are equal. In order for these two sides to be equal, 4 and h have to be equal. So I'm going to get rid of those. Brings me down to bx minus 45 equals hjx plus kx plus kj. So what's it mean to be equal? Equal means the same thing on both sides. Anything that is in front of an x over here equals b. Anything that's in front of an x over here equals hj and k. So that's really telling me that b has to equal, I know that's 4j plus k. So I can factor out the x, and that's what I'm left with. I'll just take a peek at my answers. 45 and h, 45 divided by 4 is not an integer, so I know that's not my answer choice. I don't know b yet. I know that this is over 4. I don't really know k, but I know that it has to multiply to negative 45. K is an integer because it tells me it has to be an integer. And I know that it's an integer that goes nicely into negative 45. It would also have to be an integer that goes nicely into positive 45. So and I know that j has to be an integer, and I'm looking for which answer has to be an integer. This is going to be our answer choice. System of equations, and when I see a system, I'm either thinking substitution or elimination. Because I have a variable by itself, I'm just going to use substitution. Y equals this and y equals this. So that means whenever I see a y, I can plug this in. 2x squared minus 21x plus 64 equals 3x plus a. This is a quadratic, so I'm going to get it equal to 0 by subtracting these from both sides. 2x squared, negative 21 minus 3, negative 24x, plus 64 minus a equals 0. Something we look on the SATs, and we'll work on it more, is the discriminant. And the discriminant is b squared minus 4ac equals 0. If this is true, then that would mean that there's exactly one solution. So when they kind of ask exactly one solution, they're kind of hinting for us to use this discriminant. In this equation, we've got our a value, our b value, all of this, since it's a constant, it's all our c value. So let's plug this in here and see what we've got. B squared, negative 24 squared, minus 4 times 2 times 64 minus a, all equals 0. That's 576. This is negative 8. It's 512. plus 8a 0. Then that's 64. Subtract 64. -8. All of that, if after all of that a equals -8, then I really know what this equation is saying. Y equals 3x minus 8. I'm allowed to use a graphing calculator, whether it be your personal one or on Desmos. I'm going to plug these in to see when these two equations intersect. I'm going to pause the video while I do that to save a little bit of time here. I have my two equations graphed. I can kind of see about right there, they're going to intersect, so I can either zoom in, or sorry, I should have zoomed out, that's okay. I'll fix it in a second. Let's go zoom out a couple times. And then we'll zoom out one more time. Now I can use my intersect features. So second trace, action 5, kind of be on the left side of intersection, press enter, arrow over to the right side, enter, enter again. It's thinking, and it wants us to find the x value. The x value of where they intersect is about 6. An isosceles right triangle. Right triangle isosceles means two sides are equal. Has a hypotenuse of 58 inches. What is the perimeter of the triangle? Well, perimeter means we're going to add. I do know in a right triangle, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If it's isosceles, these are both equal. So I'm just going to call both of the legs x. Let's get our calculator back. 58 squared, 3,364. 2x squared, divide both sides by 2. Take the square root of both of those sides. X is about 41.012. And it wants us to find the perimeter. Well, this is about 41.012, as is this. And I would rather just work with the decimals than work with the radicals. So I'm going to plug in 41.012 plus 41.012 plus 58. It's about 140. So now I'll test my answer choices to see when I get about 140. Those are not equal, so that is not my answer choice. Those are not equal, so that is not my answer choice. Those are about equal, so I would like answer choice C. I think question 26 might be the hardest one in module 1 here. In the xy plane, we have a parabola with vertex 9, -14, and it intersects the x-axis at 2 points. So we kind of just sketch that. 9, -14. We'll say that's about here. Oops. 9, -14. And it's going to have two solutions. So that means it has to open upward. If it opens up, just kind of thinking what I know about parabolas, and this is the equation, that means that A has to be positive. If it opens up, A has to be positive. Now, something that we can be thinking about is vertex form equation. Form is not super common. It's very specific, but vertex form looks like y equals A times x minus h squared plus k, where h and k are the points of the vertex. So I have x minus h, so that's going to be -9 squared. K is technically -14. try to get this into ax squared plus bx plus c form. This squared, x minus 9, x minus 9. Squared minus 9ax minus 9ax plus 81x minus 14. Trying to solve a quadratic like this, we just have it equal to 0, so let's switch that. 0 equals ax squared minus 18ax minus 14. Now I kind of have my ax squared plus bx plus c. This is a, this is b, all of this is c. So if I want to look at a plus b plus c, I've got a minus 18a plus 81. Sorry, looking back here, this is not x, that is an a, which changes this. Okay, 81a minus 14. Then we can combine some like terms. A minus 18 is negative 17a plus 81. That's 64a minus 14 equals 0. I don't know a. I still have to kind of test this out. So I look at my answer choices. I know I need a to be positive because we open upwards. So let's kind of just see what a could be. 64a minus 14. It's supposed to be the sum of all of them. So we're going to try plugging in negative 23. I would add 14 to both sides. So when I divide by 64, a is going to be a negative number. I need a to be positive because we open upwards. If I keep going through, let's go up here. I'm mainly just running out of room. 64a minus 14 is what we have. I set that equal to negative 15. That's still a negative number, so when I divide by 64, a is going to be a negative number. That's not what we want. For time and space sake, let's just try D. D is going to be our answer. 64a minus 14 equals negative 12. I'll add 14 to both sides. I'm going to get 2. 2 divided by 64 is a very small number, but it is in fact negative, and we need a is positive, and we need a to be positive in order to answer this. Last one here. Function f is defined by this, where a and b are constants in the xy plane. The graph of y equals 5 f of x minus 15 and has a y-intercept at 0, negative 99 over 7. The product of a and b is 65 over 7. What is the value of a? So obviously, they want us to find the value of a. We're probably going to have to find the value of b first and then divide. Y equals this, but I know f of x. Y equals, instead of f of x, I'm going to plug in my function. Subtract 15. But I know when I plug in f of x, this is an answer that works. So now I'll plug that in. Y is negative 99 over 7. Negative a to the 0. That's b minus 15. Anything raised to the 0 is always 1. It doesn't matter what it is. Anything raised to the 0 is 1. So that's 16. I'm going to add 16 to both sides, and that's going to give me my b value. Negative 99 over 7 plus 16. Can I make that a fraction? Yes, I can. 13/7. Well, if A times B is 65/7, but I know that B is 13/7, just divide both sides by 13/7. 7 divided by 13/7. A is 5.